Given your situation, you could ask to do everything under anesthesia, find some humane way to get your meat. However, anesthesia will spoil the taste of your meat, Nick. It will become tasteless. I'll tell you a secret. It's so delicious because when you feel pain, a special hormone is released. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're playing a game that I've been looking forward to for quite a while now. A lot of it is that I love the name. This game's called 1,000 Mouths to Scream. So, from what I can tell, it's a story where you are in space. Now, if you guys do enjoy this video, or any other video on my channel, I really would appreciate it if you'll consider subscribing, as it really is the best way to help my channel grow. And now that that's over with, let's get into the video. I hope you enjoy it. The spaceship made of metal and super strong plastic slowly floats through the vastness of outer space. It is a true technological masterpiece, a perfection of modern engineering. Thanks to solar batteries coupled with thermonuclear energy, the ship can be fully self-sufficient for millennia. The ship's mission is to collect data on a newly discovered exoplanet. A beautiful exoplanet, located at an ideal distance from the Sun, so similar to Earth, but slightly larger in size. Life is possible on such a planet, and this expedition has yet to find out if it exists there. The planet was given the name Ackerman 10. Your actions. Okay, so this is like a multiple choice type game. I think I'm going to start with exploring the ship. Alright. You can click on some objects inside the image to explore them. I can't even see what half of this shit is. Okay, so it has an eyeball. Panel with different icons and indicators changing on the display. Here, the crew monitors the status of the ship's various systems. An exoplanet can be seen behind the porthole. What else is there? We've seen that. That seems to be about it. Okay, what's this? Research laboratory. It has all the necessary equipment for a variety of experiments. This is a capsule for biomaterial research. The object is placed inside the capsule, and after a full scan you can get its entire composition down to the DNA structure. That's pretty cool. This is the brain and heart of the ship. In these metal boxes there is a superintelligence capable of replacing an army of scientists. All computing processes take place here. So I can't look at anything. That's awesome. This is the gateway with access to outer space. The ship itself was capable of repairing most of the damage inside the system. However, in some situations it may be necessary to repair the outside of the ship, and it must be performed by a person. Okay, so this is as far as we can go left. Let's try going right. This is the crew's living quarters, so it must just be me here. This is a place to relax, sleep, do some business of your own. That sounded dirty. It's not time to rest yet. Okay. This is a warehouse where you can find everything you need. Okay. Boxes with research materials inside. This is a terminal where you can view a list of everything that's inside the storage. Behind these panels is an invention that changed the world. The ship is capable of restoring water and oxygen reserves on its own. That's impressive. Of course, the amount of water and oxygen produced is strictly limited, but enough to sustain the life of one adult human individual. Okay. This is the escape pod. In case of danger, the crew can use an escape pod. Okay. Alright, that seems to be about everything. So how do we finish exploring? This is the soul of the ship, so to speak. The only body made of flesh and blood on this ship. A real human, Nick Stranger. The only member of the crew of the spacecraft. Okay, so I missed that before, but yes, obviously we are the only human in the crew. Why did the music change? Maybe we're missing something, but I don't know what to do now. Okay. I thought to myself, I might real quickly just Google it and see if I could figure out how to get out and go back to the other screen. This game only came out today. It's only been out for a few hours and there is nothing online that I can find. So, oh, it just exits the game. Awesome. Spookle McBoogle. Okay. Alright, so that just started us again. So we're gonna skip through all of this. I don't know what I was thinking, because it literally said exit. Okay, we're gonna go investigate the planet. Use WASD to move the camera, click on the marked areas to scan the section of the planet. What the hell am I clicking on? Oh, there we go. So we're looking for these. Scan shows that the atmosphere of the planet is comparable to the atmosphere of the Earth. The air on the planet should be practically no different from that of Earth. Okay. Oh, there's another one. According to the images, 70% of the planet is occupied by water, while dense forests can be seen on land. So that's, again, similar to Earth. Oh, there's another one. Data on the presence of intelligent life on the planet has not been established. Okay. So we have no idea if we're alone. That's sick. Ah, there we go, there's our last one. The temperature in the observed zone is about 37 degrees Celsius. That's pretty hot. It's amazing what things we've discovered based on external observation alone. These data not only confirmed our guesses, but also exceeded our wildest expectations. This planet is truly unique. Initially, the purpose of the mission was external observation and data collection. But how much more can we learn from being directly on the planet itself? However, there is only one crew member present on the ship. His task, if necessary, is to eliminate external breakdowns of the ship. The crew is absolutely not prepared for an expedition to another planet. Initially, there was no such task. The mission involves only external observation. It's too risky an idea to send a person there, especially without preparation. However, all the most amazing discoveries were accompanied by risk. I feel like the safe option is stay on the ship. But who the fuck cares about being safe? We're gonna go on the expedition. Nick Strange, the only member of the crew of the Aurora 7 ship, arrived on Ackerman 10. His task is to collect samples of soil, water, plants, and give an overall assessment of the planet. How did I even agree to this? I didn't even get the proper training. What if something happens to the ship while I'm here? Well, it's best not to think about that. sooner I complete the task, the sooner I'm out of here. A space capsule that is usually used for emergency evacuation of the crew. It's not designed for independent flight. Therefore, when Nick completes the task, the ship will have to pick him up along with the capsule. We're going to start by going left. It was a dense jungle filled with fern-like plants. Mushrooms of various sizes were everywhere. Oh, what's this? Nick took a sample of the plant. Left again. The sound of the waterfall gave Nick a sense of harmony and calm. Ooh, there it is. Something there. Nick took a water sample. Amazingly, microorganisms were found in the water. And Nick was the first of all people to encounter aliens, albeit microscopic ones. However, he wasn't thrilled with the idea. Nick just wanted to get back to the ship as soon as possible. I don't really blame him, to be honest. Huh? Snow? In this heat? No, this is something else. Nick took a piece of bark from one of the trees to analyze. It was too smooth to the touch, something like a piece of rubber. Nick raised his head and saw above him a huge dome from the folds of which yellowish particles were falling out. It was fungal spores of an enormous size. Oh, that's not good. Nick took samples of the mushroom spores. Right, task complete, back to the ship. I've collected all the samples you need. Come pick me up. I'm sorry, but you're going to be on this planet for a while, Nick. The connection's bad. I must have misheard. I've collected all the samples. When are you coming to pick me up? I'm not coming, Nick. There's more data I'm interested in getting. I advise you to follow my instructions. It's in your best interest, Nick. What the hell's going on? Hey, I got nothing here. No food, no water, you understand? That's the point. I want to collect data on how humans will survive in the conditions of this planet. What did you just say? Imagine how much data we'd get from an experiment like this. I'm gonna die in here, you goddamn machine. In the event of your death, I can get even more data. I'm interested in how the body decomposition process works there. Enough of this nonsense. Get me in touch with the control center. Let's see how they like your ideas. I'm sorry, Nick. I can't do it. We need to begin the experiment. No, I didn't sign up for this, you hear me? Hello? Shit. It's a wonderful world. Nick was left completely alone. The only thing he was lucky about was having a scanner. Thanks to the scanner, he was able to determine which of the plants were poisonous to him. With this, he was able to find food that was safe to eat. He spent his nights inside the escape pod trying to contact the ship every day. No one will ever find me. No one will come to the rescue. I'm alone. Alone. Sometimes he thought he could hear footsteps among the rustling leaves or that someone was watching him from the shadows of the mushroom trees. Nick also discovered that some mushroom spores are hallucinogens. He began to inhale those spores for pleasure. I am the king of this planet. This is Nick's planet. This is my mushroom. Are you listening? It's mine. This whole land belongs to me. I am the law. Is anyone against it? I hear no objection. Ah! I mean, fair enough, dude. You're the only person on the planet, you may as well. Oh God, help me. Ah! Naked, spore-smeared, he ran through the boundless jungle, chasing the ghostly silhouette. He screamed for all he was worth, from anger, from fear, from joy, from loneliness. But no one could hear him. Wait, what? What the fuck? Okay, we finished it? Hang on, I'm gonna check something. So according to the achievements, there is 8 endings, which is good. I mean, to be honest, this is a lot more than I expected, considering I paid like $2 for this game. So what I might do this time is I might... so we're going to investigate the planet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to skip forward until... Oh, that's loud. I'm going to skip forward into the points where something changes, so you guys don't have to watch this whole thing over and over again. Alright, this time, instead of sending out an expedition down there, we're going to stay on the ship. Okay, so I don't understand what to do now. It's like we've gone around, we've searched the ship. Oh. Okay. He sits and looks through the porthole. Why does that look like a side view of Anthony Starr? Before his eyes, an endless dark space is torn apart by small lights of distant stars. But that view doesn't bother him anymore. All his thoughts are turned somewhere farther away than any stars. Every day his routine consists of the same things. Every day is repeated with mechanical precision. He has to spend 5 years alone on this ship. It's okay, he's been alone his whole life. Except for one period. Memories slowly begin to envelop him, and now it seems he is back on that distant beach. He hears the sound of sea waves, smelling the ocean and the way the fine rain falls on his face. She danced across the volcanic sand, laughing from happiness. He looked at her admiringly. If only he'd known that they would break up in a month, what would he do? Probably nothing. The inevitability. No matter how many scenarios he scrolled through in his head, no matter how many solutions he tried to find, the result was always the same. They're too different. She will have to leave to conquer the next mountains and shores. And he will find himself here, in complete isolation, inside a perfect and logical system built around him. In this metal can floating in the middle of outer space, he'll need nothing. Indeed, he doesn't need anything here. No sooner had a tear rolled down his cheek than the computer sensed a biochemical reaction in his body and injected sedatives into his blood, which put him to sleep. Intrusion? He was awakened by the loud sound of the alarm. He needs to find out what happened. Alarm? Let's check out over here. Looks like there was an asteroid impact somewhere nearby. A multitude of asteroid fragments flew toward the ship. There's external damage to the ship's plating. Crew must proceed to the airlock. Repair work needs to be done. Okay. We're We can head to the airlock, which is there. A chunk of meteorite stuck in the plating of the ship. No serious damage was found. Nick's done this kind of repair and training many times before. The work will be completed in a few hours. This rock, however, there's something appealingly unusual about it. Maybe it's colouring that seems to shimmer with all the colours of the rainbow. Maybe Nick just wanted to find something to do, because once the ship was fixed, he'd have nothing to do again. So he decided to take the meteorite with him on the ship. His strength was rapidly leaving him, and his desire to explore the meteorite was replaced by a desire to go to bed as soon as possible. The job took him more effort and time than he had bargained for. He needs to find the strength to take the meteorite to the warehouse and then go to bed. Here, I think. He put the meteorite in a hermetic container. It's been a long time since he's had this much to do. Nick felt joy and he didn't even notice how he cut himself. The nanobots healed his wound instantly. Although the wound was deep, there wasn't even a scar left. He couldn't stop thinking about his new find. Well, it's most likely just a rock. Still, maybe he'll get lucky and find something interesting. At last, the succession of monotonous days would be interrupted. The thought warmed him. Alright, I guess it's time to go to bed. In the glow of the fiery setting sun, there she stood. He could feel the warm summer air blowing. Although he couldn't see her face, he knew that the girl standing under the tree was Marie, his beloved. He ran to her with open arms. When he got closer, he saw that she was pregnant. She was holding a stone in her hands, and for some reason it seemed to him that the stone was her child, their child. It also seemed to him that she was pregnant with a stone that was about to be born. It's a weird thing to give birth to. The more he thought about it, the more uncomfortable he became. Fair enough, dude. A feeling of nausea was creeping up on him. Ooh, what the fuck? Suddenly, Marie began to laugh, and her face took on a dark, sinister hue. She was laughing at him, and he felt incredibly pathetic, as if it was his fault that she only gave birth to stones. She laughed louder and louder, and at the same time, her face became more and more deformed. Her eyes seemed about to fall out of their sockets. Nick couldn't keep looking at her face anymore, but whenever he turned, Marie's insane grin haunted him. The stone is our baby. Our baby. Our baby. Well, Nick, look at it. Isn't it beautiful? This is our baby. Nick looked down and saw the stone under his feet. Veins were coming out of the stone, and in the center of it lay an infant who did not move or make a sound. Nick woke up feeling a metallic taste in his mouth. Apparently the nanobots overdid the medicine. He'd never had such vivid nightmares before. Yeah, that's a bit of a fucked up nightmare. After awakening, he still had discomfort for some time. Time to get the meteorite from the warehouse and take it to the lab. He hopes the work will help him get his mind off these dreams. Nick took the meteorite. Oh, whoops, that one. Nope, that one. Start the scanning process. Click on them. Okay, so I'm literally just sitting here clicking on it. I don't even have to click on it. Okay. Surprisingly, the top layer of the meteorite is warm. Something's obviously heating it from the inside. It is necessary to continue scanning. Amazingly, living microorganisms have been found in the deeper layers of the meteorite. The meteorite is getting warmer and warmer. It's not just a space rock. It looks like there are living organs inside the meteorite. This meteorite is alive. Stunned by such a discovery, Nick didn't know what he should do next. Millions of thoughts swirled around in his head. He was both terrified and ecstatic. However, the nanobots in his blood quickly adjusted Nick's condition to calm. He needed to go to bed. The machine doesn't like to have its logical routine disrupted. Revelation. Nick was sleeping very soundly this time and he didn't dream. When he woke up, he continued to feel tired and couldn't open his eyes. It's so odd because nanobots have to regulate his level of vivacity? I don't know what that means. And he could barely move his hand. Maybe they're tired too. Nick grinned at the thought and put his hand over his face trying to wipe his eyes. Immediately, he felt something completely wrong. He felt something hard like bones pressed into his face. What the fuck? Oh, the thoughts I just had. I can't repeat half of what just went through my head, but if you know, you know. Okay. Nick's horror was unparalleled. Something had to be done quickly. What the fuck can you do? I'm gonna do nothing, because what the fuck can you do? What's the point in escaping? If it's still on your hand, you can't do anything. Cutting off the arm seems extreme. So I'm gonna go with do nothing. Nick nervously paced around the various compartments of the ship, unable to find a place of his own. He tried to find all sorts of reasons for what was happening to him. Maybe the ship overdosed him on drugs and he hallucinated. Nick looked at his hand again, and the mouth was still there. No, hallucinations can't last that long. Maybe I should ask the ship what's happening to me. Yes, let's ask the ship. Nick decided to ask the ship what was happening to him. After all, the ship had his body under 24-hour surveillance. The ship responded to Nick's request. After interacting with the meteorite, your DNA structure began to change. It's hard to say exactly what caused this drastic change. Your condition is being monitored. All data is recorded and sent to the Earth. Oh. This is the same ship that made us live on the planet, so I'm assuming this ship is going to be like, oh, something's happening. Let's just watch. Analysis and observation? Are you kidding me? How do I stop it? There is no way to stop the mutation process at this stage. But there must be a way to cure me. I'm not aware of it. Then send a ship to Earth, see if they can help me there. I can't turn the ship towards Earth. Damn it! Alright, then I'll use the escape pod. I'm afraid I can't let you do that. Why is that? The task of our mission has changed. What the hell kind of task? I'm mutating, hello! I need help now! The new objective of this mission is to observe and investigate Specimen A and B. Specimen A and B, what are these? Specimen A is a meteorite delivered by Nick Stranger aboard the ship. And Specimen B? Specimen B is Nick Stranger. Nick's vision went dark. He suddenly felt how enclosed a space he was in, and that he had nowhere to run. His heart was pounding wildly in his chest. Noticing this, the ship immediately injected him with a tranquilizer. Waking up, Nick found himself on his bed. He had a hard time accepting the reality he found himself in. Time passed and his condition deteriorated significantly. Oh, Jesus Christ. More and more mouths and limbs grew on his body. He tried to escape via the escape pod, but the ship wouldn't let him in. He thought about injecting? He thought about ejecting himself into outer space, but the ship wouldn't let him. It's not even a life. Nick decided to take desperate measures. However, he could only do temporary damage to himself. The ship would immediately heal all of his wounds. Maybe we should have cut our arm off. Like, if the ship can immediately heal all wounds, I think that next time I play this is probably going to be the next thing I do, is try cutting it off. No matter what he tried to do, no matter how hard he tried, it was getting him nowhere. At one point, Nick just laid down and started screaming. His body was getting worse. He screamed louder and louder, with all his many mouths, and his body continued to deform, swelling in some places and gaining new limbs in others. Nick's body sprawled further, filling the space of the ship. Even transformed into a monstrous creature, Nick still retained consciousness. He thought back to the good old days, the time when he was human. He remembered once walking on the beach and having a girl he loves. Tormented by his own memories, unable to escape or die, he screamed every day in agony. And 1,000 mouths screamed with him. The end. Oh, so that was a bad ending. Wait, was that the ending? Nick was sleeping very soundly this time, and he didn't dream. When he woke up, he continued to feel tired and couldn't open his eyes. It's so odd, because wait, we've done this. Okay, so we have done this part. So it's bringing us right back here. That's good. Okay, this time we're going to try cutting off the arm. After searching the ship for a suitable tool, Nick could only find a small metal cutting saw. He was getting sick just thinking about what he was about to do. I mean, yeah. But it was impossible to delay. New bumps began to appear on his arm and they were moving higher up the arm. The nanobots in his blood, tracking the adrenaline rush, tried to regulate Nick's condition as best they could. The first incision, and he immediately realizes the horror of what he's about to go through. Nanobots instantly heal the wound. This means that he has to cut faster than his arm is healing. Accepting the inevitable, Nick began to saw. Okay. Finishing the job, Nick passed out. Hours later, he opened his eyes. Nick took a quick look around his body. There didn't seem to be any new anomalies. It seems to have worked out. Coming to his senses, he contacted the command center. He was informed that the mission was cancelled and he was returning to Earth. Nick wanted to get rid of the meteorite, throw it back into outer space, but the command strictly forbade him to do so. Oh, that's not a good thing. He felt uneasy that he still had a long way to go back with that thing on board. He wished he could just sleep most of the way through. However, some sort of knocking began to appear in the vents. It's the hand. It's got to be the hand. What could it be? The ship didn't warn of any damage. It must pass soon, Nick thought. But the sound only intensified, disturbing Nick's sleep, waking him from his slumber every now and then. Gotta go check it out. Crawling all the more with one arm was not so easy. For a moment, he wanted to forget about the whole thing and crawl back. But the farther he advanced, the more distinct the sounds were heard. As he approached the object that was making those sounds, Nick froze in horror. Wait for it. He couldn't believe his eyes. What he saw was like something out of his most twisted nightmare. In front of the Nick, not just Nick, we're the Nick. In front of the Nick was his hand, and from the hand grew a woman's head, which was slurping and moaning. At least he's not going to be so lonely now. Nick was ready to throw up. There was no doubt about it. A head with the face of his ex-girlfriend Marie was growing out of his hand. She looked at him with a cold stare, just like the last time they'd seen each other. Something had to be done immediately. Keep her. Oh man, I think it'd be funny to keep her. Like, logically, you'd want to throw her off the ship and get fucking rid of her, but it'd be funny to keep her, so I'm gonna go with that one. Nick couldn't get rid of Marie's head, even in this form, but he still loved her. He contacted the command center and persuaded them that he should continue his research in space. Surprisingly, Command agreed. Every day he talked to her, but there was only an unintelligible moan in response. He tried feeding it, but the head would not accept water or regular food. Then Nick wondered if she grew from his flesh and blood, maybe she needed it. Maybe he could grow her whole body. And he began to give her his blood while continuing to talk to her. One day the head spoke. "I break up with you." Those words were like thunder. Nick didn't want to believe it. He thought he must have imagined it, and that it was just her regular moaning. But Marie's head kept repeating, "I break up with you." But why? "I break up with you." That's not true. "I break up with you." I guess we can still fix this. "I break up with you." Maybe if I give her more blood. "I break up with you." Stop! Stop saying those words. "I break up with you." "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to yell at you. You know I'm not like that. I'm really sorry." "I break up with you." "Alright, it'll be fine, you'll see. It's just a phase. It'll pass and we'll be together again, like we used to be, like that time on the beach, remember?" Nick continued to feed Marie with his blood, and she began to get bigger with more and more new heads and mouths. The heads kept repeating it like a prison sentence. "I break up with you." "It's okay, someday you'll change your mind. You'll see how much I do for you." Nick continued to feed those heads. But the blood wasn't enough for them, so he started cutting off pieces of flesh from himself and feeding them to the heads. For some reason known only to Command, the ship stopped healing Nick. But that didn't stop Nick. He continued to mutilate himself, chopping off bigger and bigger chunks of his flesh. As he lay dying on the floor, he looked at the thousands of mouths that had sprouted up all over the ship. The last words he heard were, "I break up with you." Okay, that was sad. I'm gonna go through a process of elimination. We're gonna cut off the arm again and then skip forward to finding the head. In front of the Nick was his hand, and from the hand grew a woman's head, which was slurping and moaning. Nick was ready to throw up. Something had to be done immediately. This time, we're gonna throw the fucker off the ship. Nick stood in his spacesuit in front of the airlock. In his hand was Marie's head. Even though he realized it wasn't Marie at all, but some alien mutant that had taken her form, it wasn't easy for him to let her go. Maybe I could raise a new Marie, and this time we can make it work, Nick thought for a second. He felt ashamed of such thoughts and stepped confidently towards the airlock. Suddenly, Marie's head spoke. She looked at Nick with her blank, expressionless gaze and said, "I'm breaking up with you." Nick froze in terror. He never thought he'd hear those words from her again. The head continued to repeat, "I'm breaking up with you." Nick stood for a while longer, looked at Marie's head. "No, it's me dumping you." Nick opened the airlock and tossed Marie's head in there. After that, Nick went back to his quarters. For a while longer, the picture of Marie's face flying off into the black distance stood before his eyes. He stared out the porthole of the cosmic landscape. The black space was bursting with the bright lights of distant stars. Finally, he felt some relief. He looked at the many stars and thought about what lay ahead. Nick dreamed of what would happen when he returned to Earth. Maybe he would get some kind of reward for taking part in a mission like this and finding the mysterious meteorite. Despite all the horrors he had endured, he finally felt like everything was going to be okay. The end. Okay. It was a nice ending. It was good. I mean, you know, you're still stuck in the middle of space with one arm, with a girlfriend who was very intent of breaking up with you. This time we're going to go for the escape through the airlock. Escape through the escape pod. For several months, his save pod. Oh, so it didn't go through the story of getting into the pod, it just goes straight to the several moths. The several moths, his safe pod, traveled through space until a ship from Earth came to the signal for help and brought him back to Earth. On Earth, he was immediately isolated in a special medical cell. He was prescribed a bunch of tests and his condition was monitored every day. At first, Nick was relieved he'd finally get some help. However, he was getting worse every day and the doctors who took his tests did not answer questions. Nick was very scared. He didn't understand what was going on. Every day, his body became more and more covered with new tumors and mouths. He was hysterical, screaming, crying. He was yelling with all his many mouths, but no one heard him. Nick had lost all hope. All day long, he lay there and cried, and the number of mouths on his body grew. He eventually turned into a biomass of flesh and mouths. The doctors stopped coming. In this state, he was left completely alone. So he lay several more days without visitors. Maybe they'll decide to kill me, or I'll die on my own soon, he hoped. One day, someone did come. The man introduced himself as James. He was the manager of the laboratory where Nick was located. "Nick, we did all the possible tests and checks. And I've come to tell you everything we've learned. The good news is that you're not contagious. Don't mind the suit. It's just a formality. In general, this is very, very good news, considering what else we have been able to find out." James took a long pause. "I don't know how to say it. It's just ridiculous, right? I look ridiculous, don't I? Would you explain to a cow the state of affairs on the farm? Of course not. It's absurd." A cow? What is he talking about? But the guys on top, the big shots, they asked me to do it. Anyway, listen to me, Nick. I'll just say it bluntly. We found out that you are very tasty. What the fuck? I understand your confusion, but you know, Nick, we live in a time that is, how should I put it, synthetic. People have already tried everything in the world, caught, raised, crossed, and subsequently ate everything they could. Do you know how much effort it took to raise a cow for Wagyu steaks? And now it's just a regular lunch. Wagyu steaks for a regular lunch is fucking insane. They're fed up. Today, people need something real. a bright, rich taste of which they have not tried yet. And it's you, Nick. You're that unique flavor everyone craves. Of course, as soon as we learned about your peculiarity, we would immediately begin to grow your kind. Perhaps we would even let you go. But since you left the ship, there was another accident and we were unable to return this piece of meteorite that made you like this. You know, Nick, you're special. The only creature of its kind. So don't worry, no one will kill you for sure. And your ability to regenerate and grow new parts is amazing. You're special and amazing, Nick. And you will serve for the pleasure of thousands, maybe even millions of mouths. But there is also bad news. Is he kidding me? Given your situation, you could ask to do everything under anesthesia, find some humane way to get your meat. However, anesthesia will spoil the taste of your meat, Nick. It will become tasteless. I'll tell you a secret. It's so delicious because when you feel pain, a special hormone is released. Anyway, it seems like I've said everything they wanted me to say. I'll add it on my own behalf. I wouldn't tell you anything, but the administration, they thought it was better for you than being in the dark and not understanding why you were being tortured like that. Nick didn't feel any better. Every day he begged the meat collectors to let him go. It was all useless. Over the years of torture, Nick stopped talking. He lost the remnants of his humanity. All he has left is pain and 1,000 mouths to scream. Oh, that's fucking horrible. Okay, so I'm pretty sure there's only 3 endings left, according to the achievements. So, there's one more way I can think to go. So, we're gonna go do nothing. Because then, if I remember correctly, it gives us the option to go and talk to the robot thingy. Here we go, maybe I should ask the ship what's happening to me. And we're gonna go no. Nick decided not to do anything. He went back to his room and lay on the bed. He lay there for a while, listening to his sensations. He didn't feel any pain, but he felt a kind of heaviness hanging over him from all sides. Gradually he got worse. He couldn't get out of bed. More and more new organs and parts grew on his body. Somewhere on his body eyes appeared. Somewhere mouths appeared. Limbs lengthened and he became like branches of trees. New limbs grew out of them, on which other organs and body parts grew. His thoughts began to lose clarity and sense. He no longer remembered the good days, no longer worried about the bad ones. He tried to utter words, but instead they were unintelligible sounds produced by his various mouths. The ship continued to sustain life in Nick. It fed him, treating him where he accidentally hurt himself, and watch him. As time went on, Nick stopped realizing where he was and what he was. He was very scared, and therefore, with all his many mouths, he was constantly screaming. The cry of 1,000 mouths every day echoed throughout the ship, but there was no one to answer it. So that was a surrender ending. Which means there's still 2 more. Okay, I'm at a proper loss for the last 2 endings. I'm really struggling. I don't know where else. I genuinely have no other idea of how to finish this. So, there's 2 achievements I haven't got, but we got 6 out of 8. That's not too bad. And this has been a really fun game. I've enjoyed myself. I've enjoyed experimenting a little bit with like different voices and stuff like that. especially enjoyed doing the monologue for James. That was a lot of fun. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye.